Tell anything.
Hello? Hello? See, so I can speak normally, no?
Hello? Hello?
Hello, is it Adira?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I can see you now. You have joined, no?
Yes.
You can hear me clearly,
There
no?
are two options. Yes, yes, I can hear you clearly.
Hmm.
So here there are two options. There is a question and answer section and a chat section.
Hmm.
So, so they can ask questions. The participants can use both, right?
Hmm.
Or how is it?
I think I can just tell if they want to ask anything to each other that they can do. We have some
I
time that they can do. But in case they do not initiate on that, then you can directly move on to the questions.
No. Here, if you open this window, there are two options. There is a chat window and a Q&A window. Sections tab. There are two tabs: Q&A and chat. Right. For a participant, which one they have to use?
That I don't know.
I think for participant chat window not be there.
Okay.
Oh,
So this chat window is for us.
It's a one-way.
but there are two things. One is chat and another is QA. Yes, I saw.
It's like a moderator, it should be known. When it comes to anonymous,
Okay.
now I called the validation and get the QA. Now you can use this feature to say that I will answer.
Okay.
So those two things are extra in my computer. So during the payload and last thing we debated and decided that is too complicated. We will just go by the chat.
So even then for today also we can off
So we can disable
QA.
QA is there. That mostly comes anonymous. So somebody will ask something and so I think
Not required because it is everybody is registered.
And again from the YouTube streaming chat, if there are any questions from that also we will take it up and put it in the Google Sheet.
So you in YouTube we also have chat box.
Yes. YouTube link is available on progress.
So you sometimes some sound comes from this thing, like it's clicking one photo. I don't know whether it's problem or it's normal. It's working. So there also that room when I take class, no, sometimes the sound, some kind of sound comes in, like if somebody is taking a picture.
നിഖിൽ നിഖിൽ ഇതിനകത്ത് രണ്ട് Hello, Dr. Ramesh.
Good afternoon, madam. This is Ramesh.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, thank you for inviting, madam. I am here waiting. Thank you.
Amrita. Okay.
Adira, you are looking for me?
Sahili.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Athira, are we ready now to move?
Yes, sir. Dr.
Some sound
Sir,
issue.
we're ready. Actually, we're waiting for the other speakers to join the meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Only Dr. Ramesh has joined.
Okay. You called them up today, no? And reminded them of the time.
We have sent the mail.
Yeah.
I'm calling them.
Adhira, Nikhil is already calling Dr. Kathiresan.
Okay.
So maybe
For
you can
Vijayan,
try.
sir.
Adhira, it seems Vijayanand sir has joined in the participants. Soju will add him to the panelists. Then
Yeah,
I think
the link given will go only to that. That's why.
Soju add ido. And the person named Usha did not respond, right?
Usha madam is also there. In this.
Hello, Vijayan sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, fine, fine.
Yeah. Dr. Ramesh is also there.
Yes.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. This is Ramesh.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Ramesh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
To see you. We are waiting for, I think we are a bit delayed. I think we are waiting still.
We're waiting for two other speakers to join. Then
I think Kathiresan and Usha.
Usha,
Dr. Usha will join.
Adhira, Dr. Kathiresan will just join. We got him on phone. What about
Deepak, Usha madam is there in the attendees.
so then Soju.
Please, sir.
Soju, Usha adding along.
You're there. We were just waiting for you. Okay. So you went into the attendees list again, is it? Okay. Your mic is muted, but
yeah, there was a little bit of technical glitch that I could hear you, but I mean I couldn't see the screen. That's all.
No, that's I think because they made this into a webinar form, no? So
yes,
there are
yes, yes. So I had to open that YouTube link. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think only now only Kathiresan has a join, otherwise everybody is here, no?
Oh, okay.
Kathiresan sir has joined.
Yeah, okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. I'm Sunil Kumar here.
Good afternoon, sir.
Nice to see you all here. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
One time. Yeah, we can start, I think, no? Just one time.
Should we start?
Please start.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Good afternoon. So, welcome to our panel discussion. Today, we are going to discuss on capacity building of the higher education institutions for rural engagement. And to discuss on this topic, we have a great panel with us today. And actually, we are fortunate enough that we could find a common slot for the discussion. And so here we are joined by Sri S.M. Vijayanand, Chairman, Kerala State Sixth Finance Commission, Dr. Usha Titus, Principal Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Government of Kerala, Dr. R. Ramesh, Associate Professor and Head, Center for Rural Infrastructure, NIRD and PR, Hyderabad. And finally, we have Dr. C. Kadireshan, Associate Professor and Head, Center for Panchayati Raj, Decentralized Planning and Social Service Delivery, NIRD, PR, Hyderabad. A very warm welcome to all of you, sir. And I am Amrita Rai. I am working with the Humanities and Social Science Department at IIT Palakkad. And this is my privilege to moderate the discussion today. And also for our audience, like in case you have any question, any comment or any suggestion, please you can enter those in the chat box. And those who are joining in the YouTube, they can also enter their questions. Now to start with, to give you the context and the background about the discussion, we all know that India is predominantly a rural country. About 2/3 of our population are still residing in the rural areas. And steady transition to urbanization over the years is leading to the decline in the rural share in population. But despite that, more than half of India's population is projected to be rural by 2050. There are huge developmental disconnects between the rural and urban sectors, such as inequality in health, education, income, and basic amenities, as well as employment opportunities. So all of these are causing great discontent and large-scale migration to urban areas. So no doubt, like we don't have any choice either. We have to go for this rural development for the rural economy. And we also know that our Ministry of Rural Development is working very hard on that. But maybe this is not enough. Maybe we need to put more effort for that. And in this context, this Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, or UBA that we call, is a much needed and highly challenging initiative in this direction. And Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is to enable higher educational institutions to work with the people of rural India in identifying development challenges and evolving appropriate solutions for that. But again, the question is how to make this initiative successful. So on this note, let us proceed for the discussion. So let me first introduce our speakers individually, and we are going to start by requesting each of our speakers to briefly talk on the topic from their own perspective, from their own experiences, and then we can move to the discussion. So let me start with Mr. Vijayanand. Mr. Vijayanand passed his MA in English with the first rank from the University of Kerala and cleared his civil services examination, securing the 7th rank. During his 11 years as Secretary Local Self-Government, Mr. Vijayanand had played a key role in the devolution of funds, powers, and personnel to the local government institutions, besides serving as Member Secretary of the same Committee on Democratic Decentralization and served as a member of the 2nd and 4th Finance Commission of Kerala and 3rd Administrative Reforms Panel of the state. Currently, he is serving as the Chairman of the Kerala State 6th Finance Commission. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's good that you initiated such a discussion. It's long overdue. I was involved right from day one in the conceptualization. In fact, the first meeting was held in Kapat when I was in rural development. And then formally, the Secretary HRD used to involve us in the drafting of the guidelines, the first version. Now I think we have 2 versions and there has been 2 inaugurations also. So a lot of instructions have been issued, but very few people have realized the potential. That is what I personally find. With a lot of instructions are too general. So they have to be contextualized to the state application. And for example, they are using the word village. It should be Gram Panchayat. Villages and Gram Panchayat are not the same. And many such things. And solutions and timelines. Many Gram Panchayats don't want solutions. They want support for their local planning. So anyway, I thought I should point this. And of all the states, Dr. Usha is here. I would suggest that this can be best operationalized in Kerala, though this is a national webinar. And if you can lead, this could be a model, because there has been a lot of experience in the past in Kerala in using students informally for the People's Plan for the last 20 years. So I would say that this comes out of a concept of academic social responsibility. It's not the corporates. Academics also have a social responsibility. And it has been there right from the beginning days of planning, when there used to be planning clubs in many of the economics PG courses. So what we have to do, my suggestion is that you support the Gram Panchayats, support the self-help group network, and the CSOs which are linked to the Gram Panchayat. For your information, all the Gram Panchayats in India are preparing what is called a GPDP, Gram Panchayat Development Plan. They have about 250,000 Gram Panchayats in India. And I can tell you over the next 5 years, starting from 2020, the Gram Panchayats of India alone should be getting anywhere from 8 lakh crore to 10 lakh crore. So there was a question on funds. You don't have to invest. Funds will be there. All that is required is hand-holding, project ideation, project preparation, hand-holding, implementation, troubleshooting, quality assurance, and impact analysis. And what are the priority areas? They'll vary across the country, but broadly, it will be local economic development, which is a constitutional mandate, which means some local jobs, local incomes, production, productivity, all over India. And that now is coupled with eco-development. So ecological development, which is again very critical in the days of climate change. So, and another thing, all interlinked, poverty and social justice. How to reduce abject poverty. This is very true in the central Indian states, and inclusion of marginalized groups. Then since educational institutions are involved, use of technology. All panchayats are supposed to be, they have a panchayat enterprise suite in all the panchayats. Of course, Kerala has a different software. So how to get the panchayats run those suite? It's a enterprise-wide kind of thing. And technology for solid waste, liquid waste, and all those things in Kerala for disaster management, slope stabilization, it becomes very critical. And there are a lot of resource maps, spatial maps, which can be prepared by this, mapping of assets. A very important point, which we should not forget, the students should come to activate the Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha is the weakest of the Panchayat Raj institutions within the concept of the constitution. So from the institution, as is envisaged, we need a voluntary team, academic students. I would say even well-wishers who are willing to work, maybe alumni who are willing to work for their old institution. Some commitment of time, which is precise. Training can be done. And in Kerala, though the Killa director is not here, I can
We cannot hear you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the training can be done by Killa, and they can do it free of cost, as far as I know. It doesn't require any money for them. They can do it free to tell the persons what could be done in the context of
I think we have lost him.
I think there may be a signal problem, I think, madam. You can try one more time. Yeah. Sir, joining from Trivandrum?
So should we wait for another 1 minute? And
Yeah, I think he will attempt one more time, I think. Let us see.
Just make sure that when he logs in, he will go into the other. That he's come back.
Yes, he has come.
Sorry, it got automatically disconnected. Sorry. So training they can do. We need a handbook, and more important, you devise a system for some credit. It need not be a formal credit academically, some recognition to the students to participate. The stepwise process quickly. One, the State Steering Committee of Universities, IIT, IIM, and in Kerala, maybe KILA, with LSGD and higher education departments, the Panchayat department should be activated. And we have a concept called in development called Right Shop, which means about 10-15 people from different, like a NSS program officer, a professor, sociology professor, some rural development expert. They sit and write out what can be done by educational institution in the context of a state. So it'll be a long list. We have a concept note, communicate it to the colleges, and then we have the lead and mentor institutions, some kind of a subject expert institution which we have at the national level. We need it at the state level also, because certain services cannot be, for example, there's no point in IIT Palakkad giving services to some panchayats in Palakkad. They should reach out to the whole state. Same with IIM. But maybe some other colleges will be in the neighborhood panchayat. And in a state like Kerala, the district level setup should be housed in the district planning committee, where the district panchayat president, the collector, and district planning officers are very critical, and it can be actualized. Then we have resource persons from each college who can be trained, after which the colleges will demarcate their service areas. Yes, we will work in 2 panchayats, 3 panchayats, depending. In Kerala, it can't be more than 1 panchayat. In rest of India, maybe a cluster of about 5,000. And then they prepare a plan of action, what we will do, consolidated at the district level. The project investment will come from the panchayat money, but
sir, just one thing. Your video is not on. I think you need to keep it on.
Okay. I thought there will be too much of cluttering and sound will come down. That's why this thing. So my advice to you now is get started. We have been waiting for 5 long years by doing practically nothing except some meetings. And I can assure you, in Kerala, as an individual and as chairperson of the State Finance Commission, which is for local governments, if higher education department and the local self-government department agree, I am willing to take the lead personally and work out during the COVID times a detailed action plan. And one more suggestion is, it should not be for those institutions which are volunteered. It should be for every institute, every educational institution in Kerala. You can't leave it to volunteering. The UGC has written to everybody, AICT has written to everybody, IIMs and IIM groups have written to everybody. So we call all of them, work out and have a plan of action ready by the time the new panchayats come into place in November, so that by January we can get this operationalized. If IIT, I'll talk to ICER people also, and the Agriculture University people also, we can do this. Of course, at this point I will stop. Later, the other issues like the vision and all that, I will come later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So as you have taken, you are interested to take the lead, maybe we need to proceed hand in hand. So with this, let us move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. C. Kadireshan. Dr. Kadireshan did his PhD in agriculture from University of Agriculture Sciences, Bangalore. He has a long experience in implementing ICT for development-related R&D projects in agriculture and rural development. Previously, he was part of India Development Gateway team at Center for Development of Advanced Computing, Hyderabad, and he has many prizes and awards in his credit, like WSIS Prize 2016 in ICT application, Scotch Smart Technology E-India Award, and E-Northeast Award. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, my respects to Sri Vijayanand sir, so our main mentor for NARDPR, and my colleague Dr. Ramesh also here. So it's a very different kind of experience for me, because I come with a different background. Okay, working in agriculture domain, then ICT for a long time in CDAC and other thing. Last 4 years, I am associated with the NARDPR. Okay, particularly I am lucky enough to work in a department, Panchayat Center for Panchayat Raj, and lucky enough to interact with the stalwarts like Vijayanand sir and other people. So whatever I gained from last 4 years and interaction with various other departments, including the team working in the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, something. So I would like to put my perspective and my views in that connection only, something. Keeping in Panchayat as a base and as a background, this thing, I would like to make some few presentations, few slides, if you permit. Is it fine? Shall I add some slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my way of approaching the things, the topic, what I would like to cover here in this another 4 or 5 minutes, based on keeping our the rural development perspective. Whenever we talk about rural transformation, our own ministry, which our department is working very closely with Ministry of Panchayat Raj, rural transformation, they always approach this sustainable development. Actually, in the way of sustainable development, it is very clearly envisaged in this thing. Sir was saying in the starting of his first this thing presentation itself. Sir has started with the word GPDP, okay, Gram Panchayat Development Plan. So that has become a main fulcrum and one of the key component of the rural development, something. That thing, the focus areas like economic development, social development, environmental development, other thing. So I'm not going to list out much on this thing. So everybody knows that even the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan goes with the same approach actually. Okay. So going to the sustainable development through various approaches, but in our view, whatever we are doing in NAIDPR, working with many partners and stakeholders. So our one of the key things which really working well based on our experiments last 3-4 years, particularly focusing on the outcome as a GPDP as outcome. So we done an experiment on cluster approach. So this cluster approach, nothing but a cluster of Gram Panchayats, villages selected based on certain criteria, and we make them as a model GP clusters. Okay, so with the we make them those areas as an action laboratories or learning lab for other neighboring panchayats to come and learn actually. Okay, so raise awareness of elected representatives, including the stakeholder, about the importance of GPDP, SDG goals, and other things. We all we focus on this thing actually. So achieving the sustainable rural development, one of the main thing is it can be achieved in by many ways. We approach through conducting action researches, sometimes the short studies in panchayat governance and rural development in dissemination of best practices and other things. And by way of integrating IT domain, something like a monitoring mechanism like online portals and other thing, where the people panchayat can very much understand something. Now you know very well that the common service centers is existing in a separate platform and our panchayats are working different platform. Now ministry has come to a conclusion that these common service centers has to be co-located within the panchayat so that the delivery of services will be very much nutritious. There are so many other points there which I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties. So friends, we are very much convinced that, and many people will agree that panchayats are becoming one of the main drivers for the rural transformation. So given to the fact that, you know, at present, at any point of time, if you see now, almost close to 271,000 PRIs are there in India. So whether we like it or not, nearly 60 lakh functionaries and elected representatives are very much attached with panchayat. So we cannot omit panchayat at any sense actually something. So they are the one of the main development accelerators who can bring the changes, whatever the way approach in different things, maybe an Unnat Bharat Abhiyan or through different rural development approaches. Panchayats become one of the key core component of any development aspects when we talk about rural development. Actually. Another important thing is there, this much manpower, like elected representatives of so much, nearly 31 lakh people, including 15 lakhs plus, now almost close to 15 lakhs plus women elected representatives are there who are they're making wonderful works in the thing. So these are the main, human resources, which we cannot neglect when we talk about the rural development perspective. Actually. So whenever we talk about panchayat as a third tier government, everybody knows that the panchayats are existing because of the two main purpose. It is an institution of self-government to decentralize the power and also development of the village actually. So whenever we're talking about the development of village, something, it is very proven theory that from Kerala, from way back from 1996-97, People's Plan movement. Okay, which is resulted in the Gram Panchayat development plan achieving some after almost close to 20 years plus. Now Government of India is taking it to national level. Last 4 years, it is very intensively promoted that Gram Panchayat development plan. GPTP is going to be the one plan, one village, one plan concept, which is really going to address the local problems and also address the best way of stakeholders management, and we can achieve the desired goals in the panchayat actually. Okay. See, I would like to just hint on to one of the important project what our NADPR is presently implementing actually, to link with the way how we can work together and this thing in the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan context itself. So friends, I think last 2 years before, NADPR attempted an action research project in 100+ clusters. Okay, so why we made this attempt is actually because of one reason actually. You know very well that GPTP concept is exist almost more than 20 years now. But I told even the last 4 years, it is intensively even Government of India is putting this GPTP concept. But in spite of various efforts, majority of the GPs, I can say almost more than close to 70% of the GPs across India are yet to really demonstrate the institutional capacity. Panchayat Raj as an institution, they not achieved the real capacity. And I can boldly say that there is no quality GPTPs getting, except few states like Kerala, always exceptional there, and West Bengal, Karnataka, and they are doing some better job. But most of the states in India, where you see there as a GPTP as a vehicle, as a tool, we are telling this thing, but unfortunately, it is become a very customized, custom-based activity. It is not a real, what is that? The feel of value of GPTP is not achieved actually. So, to keeping these two important points, like how to build the capacity of Panchayat as an institution, rural development institution, and also to achieve the quality GPTP. In 2019, NADPR initiated an action research project in 100+ clusters, covering almost 545 GPs in 55 districts across 11 states. So we could able to see some drastic change there. Actually, the way we approach this this thing and the people's participation, everything, we could able to see the success. Based on seeing that success last 8 to 9 months, Ministry of Panchayat Raj, now they asked us to extend this model to 250 more clusters actually. Now we rolled out 3 months before this project. Now we are going to work for next 2 years very intensively in 250 districts, including one district, Wayanad district in the Kerala actually. Okay. So what is the main goal of this model? The cluster-based approach is holistic and sustainable development through institutional strengthening of GPs. That is very, very important. Without involving and roping in GPs and strengthen that institution, build the capacity of Panchayat Raj in the ground level, we cannot achieve any big results in the long run actually. So second important point is, other than the institutional strengthening, enablement of quality GPTP. These two are the main goals of this cluster program, what NADPR is doing this thing. I'm not going in detail and other part actually. So what are the key partners in this project? Right now we are working very closely with the state RD and PR departments, SADPS, UNDP also supporting in some part actually, and NADPR, MOPR all together we are working this thing. And a very interesting thing is, we formulated a model who are the ground level people who can act as a main project functionaries, and we have qualified young fellows who has been selected, and every cluster there remain in every one cluster one young fellow who will be the facilitator and who is going to drive the whole project actually. Apart from that, we also involve the Pecan Panchayat leaders to mentor and monitor the GPs in this thing. And the major partners, as I told earlier, other than the Panchayat Raj and rural development ministries, we have SRLMs, line departments, Mission Samriddhi, another philanthropic institution. We have Foundation for Ecological Security, Anod Lab Foundation, Bangalore, Madhukar Livelihood Foundation. So many people who are really interested in working very closely with the rural development perspective. They are already come forward, and we are all very closely working. So these people, all the clusters, these partners are going to help us, and they're already helping in existing cluster actually. So it's a more of a multi-stakeholder approach, and achieving finally to motivate the community. Okay, keeping GPs to be at the center stage. Okay, work with the project entities, with line departments, Gram Panchayat, project planning facilitation team, Ward Panchayat facilitation team, SHGs, CSOs, NGOs, all the partners, and finally the community as finally the enabling the community to participate more and achieve the actually. So there are so many activities. I'll skip all the things because it's too many things will be there. I think most of the things in Unnat Bharat Abhiyan also they are approaching. Everybody's approach is same only. Okay. It has been well thought of based on some practical experience. We brought out all these activities for no cost voluntary actions, skilling plan, promotion of economic development, sanitation, community healthcare management, okay, all the things. And the very important thing is engagement of project staff, intense capacity building of the project staff. Without building the manpower who is going to facilitate the total the transformational activity in the core project area, we are not going to achieve any success in the long run. So that's why our main strength is NIDP are mainly focusing all these project related people to train them, hand-holding them and taking to the field level actually. And there are so many activities like exposure visit, specially designed exposure visit, entry point, special Grama Sabha, Panchayat Sangamam, so many things based on our partners' experience and other thing we are going to implement in the 250 clusters in the long run actually. Okay. So finally, what will be the main outcome going to be this cluster-based approach? Definitely there is going to be a large scale participation of people. This is very, very important. Without that, we cannot achieve any development process in the villages. And villagers are going to become gradually the informed citizens, and there will be continuous consultation meetings. Elected representatives, including ward member, are going to act as a sector enablers. So friends, you know very well that the ward members mostly they are neglected. In most of the states, ward members never get an opportunity to work in the system. So only the Sarpanch, Panchayat President works and other thing. Now our approach is going towards ward members to enable them as a sector enablers. They can take over some particular sector and guide the whole panchayat into all the panchayat activity in the planning process and also the monitoring area. And also we are going to make the standing committees very stronger. And very important thing, PRI SHG convergence. It's another important part actually. Just I will skip other points like so many things which is related to the development perspective. Okay. So what I just wanted to say briefly, right now I stop with this slide. Friends, I think you know that Unnat Bharat Abhiyan activities are going on in different way in different states actually. Many institutions are involved, anything like that. So I think it is a time that NIDPR as a national institute, we have done so many, hand-holding programs also with the Unnat Bharat, but unfortunately what happened, what I observed is there is no clear-cut understanding, or there is not clear link is not there between the actual activities of our rural development Panchayat Raj Ministry and what Unnat Bharat Abhiyan activities are doing. There is a gap is there. So mostly we have to identify those gaps, and it's a time to work together. So they can partner with NIDPR, particularly in the cluster-based approach type of programs, which is really a successful model. And we are ready to support all the higher education institutes to join with us in this journey actually. And second important part is a common understanding and capacity building of all these institutions is very, very important, because the goal should be very clear actually. To drive the rural transformation, what should be the ultimate our goal? So that is very important. And identifying the gaps in the selected villages or the Gram Panchayats is another important. And we have to connect the dots through multiple stakeholders who are already experienced these people. NIDPR can definitely play a role to bring all the stakeholders and the experienced organization to work along with this your team actually. And finally, it's a very important thing is the cluster-based approach always results better actually, so that we can create a island of success and take it to further level. So ultimately, I wanted to say that Panchayat should be as a driver, as a focal point to make any rural transformation to achieve with various partners, including NIDPR or institutions like IITs and everything like that. So with that, I will stop at this moment, and we will go for further discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for letting us know about all the programs that are going on in NIDPR. So let us move on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Usha Titus. Dr. Usha Titus has worked as Secretary in Kerala State Social Welfare Department, Health Department, and Higher Education Department. She has also worked as Collector of Palakkad and Kozhikode districts. She is the first woman to be appointed as collector in Palakkad, and she joined the Indian Administrative Service in 1993 after graduating from Vellore Christian Medical College with an MBBS, MD, and a postgraduate degree in General Medicine. After serving as collector in Kozhikode and Palakkad districts, she served as registrar at IIT Chennai also. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, it's when I worked in IIT Madras that I knew Professor Sunil Kumar. IIT Palakkad is really doing a wonderful work, not only in the field of technology and higher education, but as a member of the board, I also know of the good work that you are doing in Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. So at the outset, let me congratulate you for holding this very much needed panel discussion, as Vijayanand sir mentioned as well. We have large numbers of higher education institutions. However, it's only very few who are actually associated with Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. We have the IISER Trivandrum, we have IIT Palakkad, we have Kerala agricultural universities as the coordinating regional institutes. In Wayanad, which is our aspirational district, IIT Palakkad has associated with few institutions, including one government engineering college at Wayanad. But beyond that, we don't have institutions that are actively participating under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. But otherwise, they are actually participating in activities that are much needed in the local bodies. Let me tell you areas where students are participating. In this regard, the participation is actually on the part of students. Number one program that they are participating in is NSS. We have 3,000 units in the state, but majority, of course, is in the higher secondary education, but a large number of colleges as well. Now, they take up one ward in the local body. They select the ward in discussions with the Panchayat president and the Panchayat member. Then these students who are NSS members, volunteers, they stay in that ward for 7 days in December, which, coinciding with the Christmas vacation. And during that period, they do the mapping of the ward, possibly of adjacent wards, but mainly in that ward, and then identify the problems, the pressing problems, and try to rectify them. The main activities that they do there, of course, are building houses for the very needy people residing in the wards. Then they do a lot of awareness creation. They even distribute seeds for organic farming and try to encourage people in that respect. Then in addition, they do a whole lot of other activities which are also carried out in other wards, like blood donation and sensitization against the use of drugs and all that. The moot point is that students are interested to work in NSS. Now, why is that so? It's so because they are given grace marks or credits for their work. Now, what is the second activity in which the students are involved in the rural areas or in the areas around them? This is in crisis management. Whether it is floods, whether it is COVID, they are part of the voluntary force that reaches out. Now, in the aftermath of the floods, students, particularly from technical institutions, were involved in a big way in reaching out to the affected Punjab local bodies, and they received the assistance of the local bodies. We issued government orders to facilitate it. And there they were assisted by the faculty as well to act as mentors, to restore the wiring and, to actually map out the damaged houses as well. We also have a very interesting scheme under NSS. It's called Punarjani, under which actually it's not the panchayats who are suggesting what needs to be mended. They actually go and mend the broken down hospital beds and other biomedical equipment in the local bodies that are around those colleges. Now, the whole idea of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is that the higher educational institution should not remain as an island of knowledge. They should actually leverage their knowledge for the benefit of the village that they have adopted or a cluster of villages. What actually happens is that although we have a very, very strong program of empowerment of the local bodies under the started by Vijayanand sir, very good guidelines laid down, orders given, and probably the best in the country. Yet higher educational institutions are never asked by the local bodies to do certain things. Like, there is actually a communication. Neither do the higher education institutions reach out. For that, the blame, I would say, rests actually with the faculty, because they are not doing projects at all. And hello, Dr. Ramesh. Since they do not know what the local body needs, the students are also not drawn. Thank you for accepting our invitation. At the same time, the local bodies also do not access the institutions and ask them to come there and look at their problems, and so that a solution can be evolved. The college need not, or the students obviously cannot arrive at a solution. It has to be evolved. They can only offer suggestions. They can help map out. They can help in the surveys, but there is no formal way by which they access at all. Now, the issue is, the students will go out if there is some form of credits attached to them, given to them if there are grace marks. Now, they would also look at problems if the local bodies would reach out to them and ask for it. Now, in this process, the state government has actually, honestly speaking, not pushed the higher education institutions. Now, the state government has not, because it is whatever circulars we have received from the MHRD, we have passed it on to the institutions. Some institutions did have institute coordinators or nodal officers, but beyond that, they have not really adopted a village or gone forward. I would only there are exceptions to this. Manro Turutha is a Grama Panchayat which will get flooded with the climate change and the rising sea levels. It's an island panchayat in Kollam district. Now the panchayat president there is highly dynamic. He realized that solutions need to be in place only with the help of technology. So he accessed the Department of Translational Engineering in Barton Hill Engineering College, and the very existence of this department is to solve the local problems. It's the Department of Translational Engineering. So they started helping them in suggestions, including amphibian housing and also in climate change mitigation. So the panchayat started adopting agricultural practices which helped them to raise salt-resistant paddy, specific varieties of salt-resistant paddy, then cultivation of prawns and special fish, they call it pumeen. These milkfish as part of combating the climate change problems that the island panchayat faces. So there are exceptions to the whole thing, but perhaps a state steering committee, as Vijayanand sir mentioned, would definitely be useful. But we also need to look at this idea as to how to motivate the students and the faculty to take up something where they really are not getting any credits, but because they exist in society, they need to reach out, they need to provide their knowledge, their experience, their technology, share it with the people around them.
So as ma'am rightly said, it's not only for our credit, we need to proceed for their requirement also.
So although reason why capacity building needs to be done, yes. And so that they do, and if IIT Palakkad would take the initiative, since you have already worked in this area, we can, identify teachers who can be put through some a capacity building program. NIDPR NIRDPR has also offered their assistance. And perhaps this COVID has its advantage, since webinars and seminars are better, more accessible now, and and you can bring in these experts from all over. And of course, Vijayanand sir's suggestion that we should have an action plan to proceed, that is also very well.
Thank you, ma'am. So we'll proceed to our final panelist here, Dr. R. Ramesh. Dr. R. Ramesh earned his PhD degree in rural development at the Gandhigram Rural University, Tamil Nadu. Currently, he is working as associate professor in the Center for Rural Infrastructure at NIRD and PR Hyderabad. Dr. Ramesh represents NIRD-PR as member of the subject expert group on capacity building for rural development under the UBA program. And in the past 2 years, he has received over 70 proposals from UBA participating institutions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, IIT Palakkad and organizers for inviting me in this panel. And it is a privilege that I am on this panel today here. And I have a small presentation, quick presentation to make. Let me try sharing my slide. Yeah. So the premise for UBA program is that science, technology, and management can play a key role in enhancing the quality of life and in enabling people to achieve dignity of life. For this to happen, higher educational institutions can contribute substantially, and this is the basic premise under which this has come about. And when the higher education institutions are asked to adopt villages, and what do we mean by adopting villages? This is moving from ideation to practice, that we have several ideas that we discuss in the classroom, and we need to now move from ideation to practice. And it is about experiential learning, and that is experiencing and learning. Does it work at all in a rural setting, in actual field setting, in the real world? It enables us to be practical thinkers and reflective doers, right? It is not just about an idea discussing in the classroom, and we need to think like practical thinkers, that this is really practicable and this is really pragmatic, that this can work. And also it enables us, this UBA program enables us to become reflective doers, I would say. And I have a series of pictures here to show our students, in most of our colleges, science and technology institutions, they have these kind of exhibitions, and it is almost an annual event in almost all the engineering colleges and management schools and all we see. So technology innovators exhibitions go on all over. This is another technology exhibition in another place, and an exhibitor there is an innovation somebody brought, and another innovation somebody brought, another innovation. All these by students. All these by students appreciated. They got their certificates uploaded. Yes, excellent, fine. Yeah, but where are they all after the exhibition got over? This is what Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is asking, that we have a lot of ideas, we have a lot of innovation, and we have technical innovations plenty coming in. Yes, but where are they all after the exhibition got over? And there are several ideas we discuss in our classrooms, and there are several management models we discuss in our classrooms, and where are they all? Some technologies or technical innovations reach the rural people, but many don't. Why? That is the question UBA is asking. Perhaps we didn't put in enough efforts to enable them reach who is it meant for. And then maybe about the social acceptability of what we have innovated. Maybe we have an innovation, maybe it is not operable in an actual real life setting. So social acceptability, unacceptability related questions might be there. Also about economics and affordability, and it is not economical for a farmer to adopt it, or a villager or an artisan to adopt whatever we have. So for some reason or the other, but many we see they don't reach, and this must reach. Whatever we have, the ideas we have, the innovations we have, the technologies we have, the management models we have, all these must reach the people it is meant for. That's the whole idea. And this is one of the proposals I reviewed, I cannot forget. And this, I think it was from some institution from Chhattisgarh, and the idea is that when you cook in a stove like this, when you cook rice, the fire that comes, or the energy generated, you can say definitely there is some extra energy going waste. It is not that you are generating just enough energy to cook that food only. There is always extra energy going waste, and this extra energy that is going waste is captured in a battery, and that can light a bulb in a non-grid tribal village, right? So this came about, that they want to, this is something, an idea they have, and somebody has come out with this, and they want to try it in some rural tribal hut where it's a non-grid village where they don't have power supply. So this is one of the excellent proposals, I would say, that I reviewed, and I cannot forget this proposal. So this is the kind of work we look forward to from the technical institutions, right? So what we say is go for a demonstration mode, right? What works in your place, it must work in a village also. What works, I mean, if you have a specific proven model or a prototype of a technology that you would like to see how it works, and you want to show it to the world that it works in a village also, that it works outside your campus also, that is what is required. That is what UBA is all about. So for example, you have developed an innovative water saving technology, energy saving technology, microfinance model, e-governance model, or mobile based marketing information system, waste management technologies, wastewater management technologies. So demonstrate that it works outside your campus also, in the villages in the vicinity. That is what is expected. And so if you are a computer science department, and we know that in the Gram Panchayats, when the schemes are implemented, most of the schemes now it is through electronic fund management system, money is transferred, right? And if the panchayat does not know how, I mean, because this is to do with money, many of the panchayats, they have learned it quickly, but it is possible we can help establish an e-panchayat. We can help establish an e-governance system in panchayats, right? Maybe we can adopt some 2-3 villages, and we can make sure that it becomes e-panchayat, or some e-governance takes place there. But for that, we need to know in the first place, what do we mean by e-governance, and in what aspects we can bring about e-governance in a village. For such kind of things, there are trainings imparted, NIRD is doing also. And if you're from an electrical engineering department, I just try to give you the scope of work that is possible. If you're from electrical engineering department, for example, every farmer uses pump sets, we know, for irrigation. And in every village, there are also piped water supply, where pumping of water take place, where there is energy used, there are pump sets used, all that. So can solar or other renewable energy sources serve the purpose? Is there a way to reduce the power bill of a panchayat? Is there a way to reduce the power bill of a farmer by 50% or by 40%? Is it possible that there is a lot of energy wasted because of the wrong use of pump, or electrical wiring may not be all right, and that is being used all throughout the year? And just with this going for renewable energy, it must be possible, but they do not know, and there is no one to help the panchayat. So it goes on like that, wasting power, wasting water, right? So that can we take up such works? And home science, if you are from home science department, monitoring the improvement made in nutrition level of children, growth chart is there. Addressing malnutrition through parents' participation, can we do that? And issues of stunting and wasting, it is, I mean, we have a program called Poshan Abhiyan, right? Issues of stunting and wasting, can we take up? Drinking water, sanitation, toilet cleanliness, water and sanitation and hygiene related activities, can we take if we are working in a home science? We can go sector specific. I am working in water resources department. When I go to villages, let me take up something that I am good at, water resources related work only. If I am good at energy, let me see only works related to energy related work in the villages, so that I'll be able to contribute something, so that my students will be able to contribute something there, right? So it can be sector specific, and it can be on demonstration mode, that which you did in your campus, see if it works in your villages also. If you're from a civil engineering department, we know that in many of the villages, the problem is that water is not equitably going into all streets. Some streets get water, other streets don't get, right? So can we do something to ensure equitable water supply to all the streets of the village, right? As civil engineering students, can we do that? And we know also in some other villages, if we go, there is wastewater running on the road, and we jump and walk. right? So can we do some simple soak pits like this, some honeycomb structure that we saw in our toilets? The same can be used here, just as a single pit can do, and it may not cost even 2,000, 2,500 rupees. So can we do yeah, this can be called a decentralized wastewater management system. Can we take up such works, right? So if you're from agriculture background, you can say agriculture is said to be non-remunerative and it is non-profitable. So there are farmers suicides taking place, but at the same time, we say doubling the farmer's income. So you are an expert in agriculture, go and prove that it is possible, doubling the farmer's income is possible. And you can introduce new technologies, seed varieties, choice of crops in alignment with the seasons, appropriate use of post-harvest techniques, technologies, and you prove that doubling the farmer's income is possible, it is practicable. Show that. Otherwise, at least say that it is not practicable, it is just a fantasizing myth, it is not possible. So say that, and that's another. If you are from arts and science colleges, we can say we can take up works like 100% Anganwadi enrollment, 100% school enrollment, 100% mothers and children are covered under immunization. Such works we can, this we call saturation approach, in the sense maybe Anganwadi enrollment has reached about 93%, but because of the 7% gap, we say it is not 100%. Maybe mother and children immunization, they have covered about 90%, but because 10% has been left out, we say 100% not covered. So why not we take up such things? Right, 100% alcohol-free village, 100% families having savings bank account, 100% farmers having soil health card, 100% people having Aadhaar card, right? So there is quite a lot we can do if we see the scope that UBA provides, and all that we have in our mind is UBA is providing 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees, and that is not enough. And money is not a constraint with Panchayat. Dr. Kadres was mentioning, and also we know for sure now, respected Vijayan sir was also saying that how much money is available with panchayats now. So money is not a constraint. All that we need is we must think and connect the dots and provide the guidance required for solving a problem in its entirety, taking things to the finish line, because in everything, if you see 80%, 70% completed, it might be standing. Taking things to the finish line, and perhaps by providing the last mile footing, that's in our hand, in the hands of the higher education institutions. Activities that put to use our expertise by application of technology or management model, we can take up such works from the sector we come from, or the profession we are working for, and identify a problem. That is another important thing. Because I scrutinize proposals, I review proposals coming from UBA. So I see there are also people identifying, institutions identifying non-existent problem. If you take up a problem that people do not consider it a problem, then it will be difficult to implement. So let the people narrate their problems. From their list, you can identify the one you feel you can work on, right? So don't take a non-existent problem. What do I mean by non-existent problem is, like, for example, for someone with a hammer in hand, everything would look like a nail, they say, right? So like that, for someone who has specialized in developing a mobile app, for example, I am specialized in developing mobile app, and she or I find from such a faculty, the proposal that comes, he or she has a tendency to think that anything can be solved through a mobile app, right? This is one of the applications I received, and I mean, one of the proposals I reviewed. Mobile app to locate a sheep that's missing from a flock. Somebody wants to develop a mobile app to locate a sheep that's missing from a flock. A shepherd who is taking care of this flock of sheep. When a sheep is missing, and he knows in about 15-20 minutes he'll be able to find out where it can go, and he is not going to download your app and so that your app will find where the sheep is, right? So this is what I say. I mean, coming with identifying a problem, a non-existent problem, right? So please clarify when you write proposals. Please clarify also, where is this proposal emerging from? Is it your idea, or this idea came out of a discussion held in the village? Or if the idea is your own, doesn't matter. did you at least discuss it with the key stakeholders in the village, especially those you think will benefit from your project? Did you do that at least? And clarify, and this is not an R&D experiment or awareness creation, because UBA, you know, does not fund such projects, awareness creation projects. So please ensure when you give your proposals, who are the beneficiaries. This is also not there in some of the proposals I find. And this will be implemented in one of the UBA villages, they write, and you do not even know the name of the village. I mean, it looks like that to a reviewer. That's what I'm saying, right? So which is the village? Who are the beneficiaries? How many are likely to benefit through the solution being proposed? What are the key deliverables, and how is it likely to change the situations and conditions that are existing? What problem does it resolve, and what value does your intervention add? These are the things that we look for when we review a proposal. And so I thought I can share this with you. I think that's all I have. So thank you very much for having me here. I'm open for discussion.
So we need to identify the right kind of problem that the rural people are actually having. So maybe some solutions are already there in our lab, but we need to take them to the field. So thank you, sir. And I'd like to thank you, all of our speakers, for sharing their thoughts on that. Actually, initially, we thought about some questions that might be relevant and important for this discussion. So we can proceed for those questions also. So our first question is for Vijayanand sir. So one, will it be possible for the local governments to set up a unit that will actively seek technical help from the higher educational institutions and coordinate the engagement? It is much harder for the higher educational institutions to coordinate the engagement.
Yeah, that is the point I've been trying to speak. Since I was asked to complete in 7 minutes, I completed in 7 minutes. One important thing is there has to be a need assessment. The panchayat will never come to the higher education department. And if the higher education institution goes to the panchayat, they will not respond also. That's the reality everywhere, all over India. I was Secretary Panchayat Raj in Government of India, and that is true of Kerala also. But if government were to actively facilitate, I'll give you one example which sums up what we can do. In 2005, we got in touch with the NSS units of all the engineering colleges and polytechnics of the state, and held a meeting and said we need to scientifically map every asset of a local government, roads and buildings. And we undertake to do the training. We will provide you vehicle to go around the village. In those days, there was no sophisticated instruments. Now you can map it very quickly. And then you will not believe it, 95% of the assets of Kerala, which means all schools, roads, everything, were mapped in 12 days. And some validation and checking. So it's possible where government proactively facilitates. Now you go and ask any institution, do you know what you can do? They wouldn't know. Ask the panchayat, what can a school know? So we need to brainstorm. Those of us who have been in, have some experience, need to brainstorm and come out with a list. What can, like for example, I would say that IIT and the IIT, IIM, Kerala Agriculture University, they all should be a kind of like a holding company for big things. But at the cutting edge level, you have engineering colleges, science colleges, economics, this thing. So they can all get into, we can even, now there's for want of time, I cannot tell you what each kind of institution can do for the vicinity. Ultimately, we will be able to do. If nothing, at least to motivate students to go to school, look at their scorecards and find out whether they are weak. Do a reading test, which any student can do from any college. So there are thousands of possibilities, but it's not because Government of India says so or we say so. I believe that about 25-30% of students are idealistic when they are from 17 to 22. So we tap on the idealism, which means we need to communicate with them. And receptiveness is very important. They go to the panchayat, and panchayat bureaucracy, and bureaucracy anywhere is quite forbidding. Students will be put off. That's been our experience. So that intermediation, government can do very effectively. So it's eminently doable, but it takes some effort, thinking, not through letters, by talking. As Usha said, we can address every student in Kerala on what could be done. And I'm sure about 50-60% will come and do something. It's few hours a week or a few hours in a year.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question that is quite related to that. So like there is a requirement for the fund for meeting the operational cost. So what way the state government can guide the institutions in carrying forward the activities under UBA?
One, Government of India gives some funds, but I know it is very, very weak. So it will be, to get that fund will be more costly than getting it. One possibility, which the states can agree, if you convince the Ministry of Panchayat Raj, 10% of the Finance Commission grant is used for capacity building, preparation of plans, and some basic expenditure. And 10% is a huge amount. It was during the 14th Finance Commission, 20,000 crore. Nobody could spend it, which the Panchayat has to use. So if you give a permissive sanction with some norms, the college, the services are voluntary, but if you need to hire a jeep, the Panchayat can hire a jeep, or for some meeting, you can arrange a meeting and pay for it. It's doable. And I am sure in Kerala, if you work out a plan, we can convince the finance minister, who is a People's Plan activist, to put a small budget for certain very specific activities, which you may not be able to fund, which every Panchayat may not be able to fund. It's possible. It's possible. It's not an assurance, but it's possible.
Funding is not the issue here.
Funding will never be an issue.
Thank you, sir. So our next question is for Dr. Kadireshan, sir. And so as we are going through this pandemic, so in this situation, in the current situation or during this pandemic period, how to connect with our rural community? So how we can connect with them?
Yeah, thanks for this question actually, because it is very important this period, because when you're talking about development, almost last 6 months, everybody is away from village and everybody is focusing on lockdown and COVID-19, this thing. But what we observed from the last March, starting from March, because we closely interact with Panchayat something, this period, I think the Panchayats are really hyperactive and they have done wonderful work actually. Thing is, it doesn't mean that actually somebody has to go and guide and give the guidelines to do upper hand to, they will do something. Panchayat, they know very well that what they have to do something. So only thing, yeah, proper simple guidance and awareness, and particularly supporting in way of volunteerism and other things, it has worked very well. Actually, we have done a survey in May month, almost more than 250 Gram Panchayats we collected data. What they have done is during this thing, mostly almost 80% of the people, they have done the same thing like all the Panchayats are doing, but some Panchayats have really done wonderful this thing. What is that? The way they approach this COVID-19 and the lockdown. From that, what we learned is actually Panchayat as a local government or the Panchayat as an institution, it always never seeks, as Sir was mentioning very clearly this thing, it always never seeks direct support from somebody will come and help. They know how to do it, something like that. But only thing, certain trigger is needed from somewhere actually. For example, from NIRD side, we have done some clear-cut awareness videos we developed and circulated, and we arranged some volunteerism, something like, for example, we work with a lot of partners like Project Management Institute and some institutions in and around these things. We created a small platform wherein people can put what type of help they wanted to put actually. So we done maybe in the way of kind and something no cost activity as low cost activity. So we connected those people and they required something. For example, some people they told we wanted some support on how to develop a community kitchen, something like that. They don't have idea, something like that, and they wanted to get some funding and other thing in Orissa actually. So we linked those people who are ready to support this thing in an online platform. Those people went and helped, and they took a model from Kerala and other thing like that. They very closely worked with the self-help group and done some part of the area. They done some online classes for children. Sitting from Hyderabad, they supported people in Rajasthan and other thing. This is a way of the way where we can connect with these people, other than doing the normal approaches like giving a support, monetary support and other things. So there are plenty of low cost and no cost activities which can be motivated. It can be simply a motivation without spending any money. The people can really look into that. The institutions can do it actually. As I was saying that first we have to identify their needs actually. Okay. During COVID-19 is this thing, that the quick immediate need was there. How to do the quarantine? What they doesn't know that what is a contact tracing also something. The people, many villages, you know that people coming from the other state and other districts, they stopped totally. This is not a good approach actually, but that is only because of they don't have clear-cut awareness about that real, what is the full effect of pandemic and other things like that. So creating a small group meeting, particularly motivating the young fellows, youngsters in the village, and these things can easily go in a long way. The whole village can take it up. The biggest thing what the last 4 or 5 months in the Gram Panchayats, what we have seen is the young fellows really came forward and they worked with panchayats and they done wonderful thing. It's because of not only because of they are free and not doing something. Particularly if you see that migrant workers coming from different towns and other thing. So these young fellows really come forward. They even approached what type of activities we can do. We used to support them with a lot of information, something. So how the guidelines, the ministry is changing time to time to take those people to give job and other things like that. So that type of creating awareness is very, very important actually. So they doesn't know that what to do next actually. They always see that the state government will give some guidelines and anything, but awareness is one of the biggest this thing can be done during this COVID-19 period. And now things are changing more actually. We can motivate those people through online courses, and we can connect with the people through online and give all the guidance required for those people. Those are some of the things. Already some experiments are going on. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So let us move on to the next question. So this is for Dr. Ramesh. And if we are thinking about the holistic development of the rural sector, we need to talk about some social aspects too. So it is not only the infrastructural development. So, but some social issues like alcoholism or the respect for women, if we consider these issues, then these issues are much more sensitive. So how the higher educational institutions being the external units can intervene in this respect?
I made a mention about it when I spoke about the social science institutions or can do that, because I mean each one we are specializing in something or the other. And like for example, mechanical engineering department is there, and there are management schools are there, and home science is there, like that. And when I mentioned about it, because this is to do with behavior change and behavior change communication, right? This is to do with behavior change and behavior change communication. And so if somebody is specializing in behavior change and behavior change communication, then this is possible. And I can teach behavior change communication in a classroom, right? And I teach my students behavior change communication, but does it really work at all? Let me go and try in a village, right? There are people, alcoholics. Let me go and try and change the behavior of the people actually. Let me try, right? And teaching in a classroom is fine. But when I interact with actual people who are real, I mean, drunkards, then I realize I get to learn a lot, that what works, what does not work, and what I need to change in my approach, in my communication, all that. Then I learn a great deal, and which can come back for classroom, I mean, discussion, right? So that's what I mentioned when I mentioned about this specific issue. That's what I meant. Otherwise, there is another thing that I wanted to mention is about the faculty must find a research opportunity. When they go to village, they must see that it is a research opportunity that they can find in the villages. That's another thing. And UBA, you can consider that it is 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees. It is a small money, but you must see that it is only a stepping stone, because there are several other ministries and institutions funding. For example, DST is there, and the Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy is there, National Agriculture Innovation Fund is there, and the National Innovation Council is there. So plenty of funds are available for higher education institutions to go on approach. But if this is only a stepping stone, that we can take it as a trial that we do with UBA, so that you can have your research going on in your institutions as faculty members.
Thank you, sir. So Usha ma'am, I actually have one question for you also. We can see you busy in the phone.
ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So you have talked about several NSS programs that are going on in the higher educational institutions also. So here we just want to know how for different competitions like Kerala Reboot Hackathon or Smart India Hackathon, these are going to help our students to understand or identify the problems in the rural areas.
Yeah, we started the Reboot Hackathon in Kerala under our additional skill acquisition program at a cost of, we invested close to 5 crores in it. And in that first set of hackathons that we held, 10 that we held, we actually went to the departments and asked for their problems. So the last one we held was on LSGD. And we took up 6 problems that the local self-government institutions and the department identified. One was on municipal solid waste management. The other was actually on data mapping, making it dynamic, and adapting skills, or rather putting the skills of the employees of the local self-government department, which is actually perhaps one of the largest or the largest department that we have. So posting people according to their skills and thereby improving efficiency and things like that. And there was a huge participation from the students. Similarly, we held in energy, we held in agriculture, we held in all the departments, health. So here, the students worked on real life problems that were posed by the officers in the field. So that showed that students really wanted to work with the field problems, and they are able to rise up to the occasion. In fact, we've also had discussions with faculty of IIT Palakkad to mentor the students who are winners in all the hackathons so far. As a prelude, we have to sign an MOU. The MOU is vetted by our legal department, so should be signed shortly, so that the faculty can mentor these students so that the products or the solutions that they have are commercially viable as well. There was one question that I read in the chat, and that is whether credits can be given if students take up the local problems as part of their MTech and BTech projects. That's a very good suggestion, and we wish that all departments raise their problems, which the students have to mandatorily take. Perhaps we should look at, say, projects in a college, at least 50% being what the local bodies raise, or what the line departments raise as issues for which a solution is needed. In that case, students would really go to the local bodies, really go to the field and try to identify solutions. So we can look at that, as Vijayanand sir mentioned, if he initiates discussions and action plans, wherein he brings the local bodies, he brings higher education, he brings all other line departments together, maybe water, irrigation and all that. We from our higher education side, we should be ensuring that some BTech, whether it's BTech or whether it's MSc projects, are actually done on the field problems that are identified. That way, we will ensure that communication between the local body and the college is established, and in a real way, in an organic way, and solutions are helped to arrive at, or even mapping, surveying, all that is done because the students have to mandatorily do it. So even without the credits that are offered or grace marks that are offered in NSS, if that cannot be done under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, at least if we can say it is mandatory for them, at least half the students in that college, to do projects which are real and which the local bodies pose, then too we should be able to spread this message of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan and help in the transformation and capacity building.
Thank you, ma'am.
Amrita, if I may respond to 2 questions which I saw in the chat.
Okay,
it has not
please,
been.
please, sir, please go
One
ahead.
was a big question. what are IAMs? What can
Yes,
IAMs do
yes.
for a panchayat? One, management education of local governments is not there. Even in NARDPR, I was DG of that. So if IAMs could you cooperate with the state institutes of development and have some simple management lessons for the elected representatives, management of time, management of personnel, management of projects, as applicable to local governments. So there is good management literature on NGOs, good on corporates, but very little on local governments. Second, there are a lot of micro enterprises by women SHGs. So adding to their quality, because they're just out of this thing. The third is a lot of skills programs take place in local governments, in the district, not exactly local governments. So what skilling will fetch them a job placement? This one only IAMs can do. So there's a lot of this thing, and most important, concurrent evaluation of certain economic development projects. So IAMs have actually much bigger role this thing. Then for IIT in Alappuzha, Alleppey headquarters, IIT Mumbai came. Students came for a month, talked to people, had a behavior change, and improved their liquid waste management. And you must have read in the papers that was the only town in India, Kerala, to get a national award for performance in waste management. So it's a lot of possibilities, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Usha ma'am, would you like to comment anything on that?
On what specifically? On
it's possible for IAMs and IITs
yes.
local work.
Yeah. Yes, IIMs can, IIMs are good at case studies. IIMs are extremely good in giving sound advice on managing issues, laying down processes. So these we can really make use in a big way. Because not only in learning and capacity building, but in actual practice. So IIM Kozhikode is actually helping us in a lot of capacity building programs. Dr. Saji Gopinath, a professor of IIM Kozhikode, is actually leading the startup mission. In fact, one of the things that I asked him was, whenever we think of startups, we only think of startups in the software field. So I said, I want some green startups. I want some startups to green our educational campuses. We have a lot of institutions, we have land because it's mandatory to have at least 5 acres of land, but they're really not looked after well. So we need green startups. It's like saying, it's one step towards farming and making agriculture viable, and ensuring that we try as far as we can to have locally grown fruits, vegetables, food grains available in the market. So IIMs have a big role to play, and we really, from the government side, it would be really good if they too would adopt the Unnat Bharat. They become a participating institution under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan and adopts a cluster of gram panchayats or municipality.
Thank you, ma'am. So we are not left with much time. So I hope that we have covered most of the main things. But still, if you think like some major issues that you have missed, so I'll request you to please go ahead and you can talk about those things that we might have missed in this discussion.
From the IIT Palakkad side, will you take up the capacity building?
I think our director sir can also respond to that.
So I think we had a good discussion, and I certainly join in to say that we will definitely be part of the capacity building exercise if whatever, as Vijayan sir said, if you could make a coordinated effort, and we would definitely take we'll be very happy to take a lead role in that, and because we have been trying and to work with the panchayat, and what our experience, and my colleagues can also join in and clarify, is that our main problem which we see is in connecting with the panchayats and getting the problems, right? Because as this particular meeting clearly emphasized, we are not solution providers, right? We are actually, people who would do hand holding, right? So the problems and the solutions would actually come from the village itself. We should just make it possible to execute these things, right? And also make it possible to plan things, etc. But then things should come from the panchayats. That connection, and I find that at least higher education institutions like IITs are not capable of making that connection. Okay, and there is also another factor which that anything which involving students, anything which depends completely on students is not a very good thing, because taking to the finish line is not students portfolio. They cannot do this, right? So faculty has to be involved deeply. So I think the connection we should make is actually between the faculty and the village, right? That is about the thing, and that in between that connector has to be really established. Okay, and that is where I'm really looking forward to what Vijayan sir was saying, that we will make this coordination, some kind of a coordination, and that would be really, really great. And as Shamam said, we can have we can have credits and grades and etc. for for students, and we can make it compulsory for them to do projects, etc. But again, I would emphasize that the faculty is the key, right? The students might do what the faculty say finally, but the faculty has to get interested. So what is in it for faculty is the question always. And so what we found is that okay, there are research problems. Of course, they will take it up. Okay, otherwise there is very little interest, because our system is like that, and we don't get any credits for that. That kind of work. So how to build in credits for doing actual village work, and this is a challenge. And I think any ideas on that is welcome, and we should debate and discuss this, and then get it implemented in the national level. Okay, so that is a very important factor. And I found that sometimes, for example, this we had when we 2-3 years back, actually, I think Professor Jayaraman, who is in our planning board, Kerala State Planning Board, and he taught this problem of Monroe Thuruthu, okay, having thinking, and it was a very interesting problem, and our faculty was very much interested. But then I got nothing after that. No connection was actually formally established. So again, this is a connecting issue. Because there is a research problem there, and the faculty was very much interested, and I'm sure we could have taken it up. And if I don't know the problem is solved or not, still open, and we can still take it up. But what I'm bringing that up is I'm saying that there are problems in which if you make the proper connection, we'll be able to do a lot of good things. Okay, and students should definitely join, and if faculty joins in. Okay, the faculty has to get involved. Okay, so I think let's work at when we talk about all this capacity building, etc. Let's try to get this thing about connecting faculty with the panchayats. And our faculty is, of course, all not even Malayalam speaking. So we need to have a real coordination effort to get people working together. That's what I wanted to bring in.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Sunil Kumar, if I may just quickly make that point, because your faculty wouldn't know what a panchayat needs. When a panchayat wouldn't know what it needs. So people have been working in this for 25 years, can prepare a list of some 500 things and give it and say, then your people will be interested. Yes, I can do this, I can't do this. So that kind of menu of options, the old cafeteria approach, would really help, for which we need to brainstorm, send it to several people. Unfortunately, I know mostly every people who are in the sector, not only in Kerala, outside. So they can keep on adding and we circulate. But the last point is, we should not do it in a gradualistic manner. My experience in Kerala's decentralization, we do it big bang. Big push, a lot of failures will be there, but much more success will be there. Otherwise, we'll move forward, come back. So a big bang, this is the right time, preparation, post-elections in Kerala at least, we get to do the doing more. And it's eminently doable, I can assure you. And there are a lot of areas, some areas that I can tell you, some areas the panchayat wouldn't want you to look into. There are other vested interests. But there are large areas, particularly economic development, panchayats want help. So we latch on to where they need. Then we can expand to other areas, like technologies for road construction, slope stabilization. Nobody knows. They want to do something. So those are some of the examples. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll take one final question, and then after that maybe we can close the discussion, though it is not going to end. So still we have to end here. So the final question is like, where we were talking about this rural development only. So this urban development, if we are just thinking about linking these higher educational institutions with the urban problems also, so should not we extend this program to the urban problems also?
Yeah,
Like all the higher education institutions are working on that also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Urban, already a lot of expertise is there, and we can look, the problems are more complex. But since UB was designed by the PM for rural areas, because where the need is most, let us focus on that and move on to urban. Urban is basically waste management, solid waste, and other things, spatial planning. We are, but let us focus on this. That's my suggestion.
Okay, so I think we can stop here. So one final quote that I want to mention here, that was from Mahatma Gandhi ji. So if the village perish, India will perish too. It will be no more India. Our own mission in the world will get lost. So maybe this is the time that we listen to Gandhiji's voice carefully and act in the right direction. And maybe now we need more ruralization, but with a holistic development. So on this note, we are closing our discussion here. And finally, we'd like to extend a heartfelt thank to all our speakers and all the audiences who are present with us in this discussion, and also the IIT Delhi, the National Coordinating Institute in this respect. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.